you made this happen with a poll on, Instagram. So I asked you if you want a beauty branding strategist to come on the podcast. And the universe and everything aligned because Rebecca reached out to me. And finally, after many hurdles, we have made this episode happen. And I wanted to have Rebecca on the podcast today because she is the founder of Sugar Branded Design Studio. She specializes in creating impactful brands within the beauty industry. And she has also a degree in business, which I love.
Mhm.
She has over 10 years experience in marketing and branding. And she's been able to help her clients achieve features such as in Vogue, Grazia, and Harper's Bazaar, as well as collaborate with brands such as Nike, Mac, and Navy Pro Tools. So with that, Rebecca, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I didn't realize that you had done a poll on your stories and asked, who they wanted on the podcast. So how weird is that I reached out to you and it just happened to be what your audience were looking for?
Right? I know. I was like, wait, this is too many coincidences. So we're going to ask. And they were like, yes, please bring her onto the podcast.
Hopefully I meet the expectations.
Oh, I know you will. I totally know you will. So I wanted to start with a question that was probably in all of our minds. So I also have, a beauty business. I'm a bridal hairstylist. And, I know it's crossed in all of our audiences' mind, like they want to start their own beauty product business. But,
Mhm.
the reality is like, not all, we know we always see brand new like beauty businesses and beauty products coming out all the time, but many of them
Mhm.
do fail. They all don't make it to be able to have a sustainable business with that, or have a company that ends up like in Target or Ulta or Sephora or all these big companies, right? So my first question for you is, what is an effective process of someone with a beauty business? How can they start moving into starting a beauty product business in a way that is cost effective? Because most of us are going to be
Mhm.
self-funded, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that is a great question. And it's such a broad question because I feel like it really depends on our own unique circumstances. So every business owner will have a different set of strengths that they have, whether that's like what they enjoy doing, what they're most talented at, what their assets are in terms of do they have a retail space already? Like, are they the owner of a salon or do they work from home? What sort of network do they have? What sort of audience do they have already? And what sort of influence do they have in the industry? And all of those things should be considered when you're thinking about how you want to go out launching your product and also why you want to launch your product. Because I think with products, the as business owners, it's not only the kind of revenue from product sales that is of benefit to us, but it's also establishing ourselves as an expert as well. I think a lot of people overlook launching products and kind of overlook the benefit that it can bring in terms of adding to your influence and establishing yourself as an expert in the industry. Because as consumers, if we put ourselves in the shoes of our consumers and of our clients, they're looking to work with someone and engage with somebody that is an expert at what they do. And who launches products? Experts tend to. If you think of really big names and big brands that you know of in the beauty industry, a lot of them do have a product line. Or if you go into Sephora or other kind of beauty drugstores, you will see that a lot of the names attached to these products that are selling well are kind of an expert in the industry quite often. So it's not only the revenue from products that we can benefit from, it's also the kind of branding benefit too and PR benefit. So with that being said, obviously you need to decide why you're launching the products to begin with. And if you want to get huge sales and you're launching it as an additional income, then you need to think realistically about how much you want to invest in it. So you don't always have to start your product from scratch. You don't have to create your own formulations from scratch. You can go into a white labeling agency that will basically have a catalog of products that you can choose from, and you can put your own branding on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even massive brands do that as well. And I think that's something that small business owners aren't always aware of. You don't have to put down that massive initial investment to start a product line.
you mentioned that because in 2020, so I went to go look at this certain brand and I found the manufacturer so I could create my own beauty product because I wanted it to be
Mm-hmm.
clean. Okay, but the investment was like an $8,000 investment. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's a big investment. And during, I mean, it was during
Mm-hmm.
2020, so I did not know what was going to end up happening. So I ended up choosing not to do that investment because it was
Mm-hmm.
big. But like you say, there are companies that are more, price friendly. They may have
Mm-hmm.
qualifications that I wanted from a clean beauty product, right? And that took a lot of research and a lot of time. So with what you just said, we're going to go back in this questions episode because
Mm-hmm.
talk about what you really like struck out to me, which is very true. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just about like, how do I get the product and get it out there, right? We need to establish ourselves as an expert because people buy from experts. So, can you talk a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more about that? So, if you're a beauty business, you're like, okay, my plan in the future is to launch a beauty product. How can they start establishing themselves as an expert in their field?
Yeah, so I guess in the first instance, you want to make sure that you have a strong brand to begin with. So for one, that you're understanding who your target audience are and who it is that you are going to become raving fans of what you do. So as beauty business owners, sometimes, especially when we first get into the industry, we might assume that we're serving everyone. Like say if you're a makeup artist, you might think, yeah, I do bridal, I do fashion, will do like your birthday makeup, like I do everything for everyone. But kind of what you want to do is get a really good idea of who you can serve the best, because when we can over deliver on people's expectations of us, that's when they become raving fans of what we do and they can be more willing to buy into products that we launch, for example, maybe courses that we're doing, events that we're hosting. If we have a podcast, they're more likely to engage with that and share that. So we want to be firstly creating a brand that aligns with a specific group of people that we can exceed their expectations of. And part of the power of branding, especially thinking about our brand visuals, is a way of communicating what we do and what we offer and how we do it to the right people. And if we actually put thought and strategy into our branding, that's a really effective tool to attract our tribe to us. And I think this is a really good thing to get sorted before you think about launching a product, because you're not going to be able to, you're not going to have that strong foundation of trust and respect and recognition to be able to sell a product. So it's really important that you get your brand foundations, brand visuals, and brand strategy sorted first before you go ahead and launch a product, I would say.
Yeah, I love that. So pretty much like you need to know straight up. We've talked about this before, and you can listen to there was another episode that we did. It was about starting a Shopify store, which we dove a little bit deeper into this, that you need to know exactly who you're talking to and really be focused on that. You have a very clear vision before you even go into like, okay, I want to start my own beauty product. So let's say, okay, she has that person has they have their whole brand, like their ideal client avatar, their branding, everything, some point, they're attracting the right clientele to their business. So I love how you say this. It's not like, okay, I got a product and here you go, guys, come buy it from me, right? It's a
Yeah.
whole strategy of how am I going to start introducing this product? And I know because, I know my industry very well. They get scared of sharing behind the scenes, like, oh my gosh, if I share them starting this product, X
Yeah.
person is going to go copy me. So how can
Yeah.
you some amazing things and tips that you can give us from your own experience into removing that like hurdle for many of them of like that limited thinking that, oh my gosh, people are going to copy me.
Yeah, so I guess this is like kind of a mindset thing. So right now I'm talking from my experience as a business owner, because every single business owner has probably felt this at some point with anything they're doing. If you're having a new marketing technique you're doing or new social media post that you're so excited to share, like we always have this inner feeling that like, what if our competitors are going to copy us? But I think for me, what I try to remind myself is, how many people have I been inspired by that I have seen have amazing ideas that I would love to do? Like, have I actually gone and copied any of them? And even if I were to copy their idea, would I actually be able to make it work? I don't know, because once when you're confident in your abilities and you have a bit of time in business, what you'll come to realize is that we're all bringing our unique approach to what we do, and a lot of work goes into every single thing that we do. So even if you launched a product, you would know how much research it took to put into that, how many like contacts you probably had to have, how many podcast episodes you've listened to be able to launch that product. Is anyone realistically going to be able to replicate that whole thing just because they've seen you launch a product and they're going to be able to go and do it? The reality is probably not. So for one, I would say don't be scared of launching a product because you think someone's going to copy you. And even if you are scared, don't let that kind of stop you from doing it, because the only way to fail is by not doing something. So regardless if someone's going to copy you or not, you have to go and launch that product and just make a start. But the one thing that I would say is that, and this kind of fine tunes into the process of launching a product as well, is don't feel like once you've launched a product once you have this idea of a product you want to launch, that you have to buy all the stock and then you're going to start promoting it to everyone. How about think about starting small? And what I mean by starting small is doing a bit of research with your clients. So if you're working with a client, start asking them questions like, what do they like about the products they currently use? What do they not like about the products they currently use? Maybe trial some things out. So say if you're like a nail technician, for example, and you want to launch like a hand skincare range, like maybe try making scrubs like at home, for example, and trying that on your clients and seeing what their response is. Think about how that actually fits within your routine as a manicurist or as a nail technician, and then start building out your product from there. So you don't have to go all in and invest £8,000 in a product that you actually haven't thought out or done the research into. Just start really small, and then that will also give you confidence to realize that you already actually do have a client base there that's willing to buy from you, like i.e. your clients of your beauty business at the moment. Some of my most successful clients, that is their biggest client base. They sell to their current clients. So, and that's like a very private internal market that you've got. If you're scared about sharing your product far and wide because you're worried someone's going to copy you, just start small in your like internal network and start selling from there.
Yeah, I really love that. That's called product research. So you don't want to launch a beauty product. Maybe you start it at home, you're making your own product, or you order a sample from like a white label company, which is pretty much a company literally with a product that you want without no label. You can create your own label on it
Yeah.
and try it out on your clients, which is awesome because you already have trust with your clients. Your clients trust you, so they're gonna give you the best feedback out there rather than having
Yeah.
strangers, right? Like, hey, do you like this?
Yeah.
And they're really honest. Like I always love trying even new products that I use in the salon or new color lines. And they'll tell me, I love this, I hated this part. It's just like an amazing way to communicate and really do that research. So I really love that you say that. Okay, so in talking about beauty products, what are some regulations that we should consider? I know that you are in the UK and we're in the States, but how do we research that, right? Because there are legalities with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a bit of a story time about this topic. So before I had this is actually how I semi got into having my branding studio, Sugar Branded. So before that, I actually had a hair product line. It was like a natural hair oils line. It was all completely natural, like no chemicals or anything like that. And it was doing quite well. I was selling on Etsy, I was selling on my website, I had retailers that were selling it. And one day I got a letter from Trading Standards. I don't know if it's got these terms have the same names in the US because obviously like I'm in the UK, but I got a letter from Trading Standards saying that somebody had written to them and complained that like my hair oil had burnt their scalp and caused serious burns to their scalp. Yeah. So bearing in mind, this was maybe the best part of 10 years ago. So I was like only like a young girl, like just, like I was scared that like I had this serious letter. I was really worried. And obviously I was also worried for this potential customer who wanted to remain anonymous, because I kind of knew all of my customers really well. And I obviously cared about the outcome they got. So not only was I worried about this legal thing that was going on, but I was also concerned about this customer as well. Anyway, it started becoming a little bit suspicious because they were kind of saying that A, it burnt the scalp, and B, they don't think that my product was registered on in the UK, and it might be the same in the States, you have to register all cosmetic products on like a registry. So it lists their ingredients, it lists the testing that you've got, it lists the registered business address and things like that. So they also said that it wasn't registered on there. And that kind of just rang alarm bells, because what sort of customer would even know that you have to register your business on this thing? So I started suspecting that it was maybe a competitor. And then thankfully, trading standards also thought it was a competitor. So after they started investigating, they kind of realized it was probably a competitor that was trying to kind of bring my business down. But the moral of the story is I had luckily done everything to the book. So I was insured. I had registered my business everywhere I needed to be registered. I tested everything properly. I had all my records. And luckily I did, because obviously as soon as that complaint came in, trading standards wanted to see that. And I think I just wanted to use that as a reminder that wherever you are, make sure that you are aware of the correct legalities and responsibilities that you have, because you just never know in business what's going to happen. Just because you're kind of a small business doesn't mean that people aren't going to come for you and put you in situations where you have to defend yourself. So make sure that you are aware of the legalities. So in the UK, and I'm pretty sure this is kind of probably standard across the world, you have to get correct testing, and usually this has to be done by a qualified professional, like a lab technician or a scientist or something like that in a lab. You can't do this at home. And that is to test the shelf life of the product, to certify that, test for any allergies and just general safety. So you probably need to get that done. Second is obviously being insured as well for the correct insurance for whatever product that you have. The other thing to consider is also trading standards in terms of advertising and product claims as well, and kind of copyright. So make sure that if you are advertising your product, that the claims that you're making of the benefits and what it does have been approved by whatever agency is in charge of that. So usually in the UK, I'm sure in the US, there is like a governing body that can help give you this advice. And they're usually really helpful. They have guides, an advice line, and things that you can follow to make sure that you are kind of meeting all of these tests. And that is one of the benefits of going to a white label agency, that they would have tested all of these products already. So you don't have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to get your products tested. They already will come with a testing certificate as well.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that. That's why like it's so awesome and it's so much more cost effective just to have somebody just for so many reasons, right? Like even with me with my own business, even when I do like I give little chapsticks away when I do some events with my hit logo on it.
Yeah.
I don't make those
Yeah.
up. They're actually from
Yeah.
a company who is a white label company where I can literally put in the sticker because of legalities and hygiene and so many other factors that go into all of this. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And that's the part where we have to do our, you know, research. And also like, I know there's lots of like professionals that can help us along with this, but yes, white label is like the cheapest probably way to do so and prevent things
And
like.
that is what I was going to say as well. You kind of touched on this earlier, but I think when a lot of people, they kind of, the process that people go through when they want to launch a product is they start thinking, okay, I have this product idea, I really want to launch it. Let me go and see how I can make this happen. And they kind of either end up like looking very briefly on Google at like labs and pharmacies that can make things, and they're just like, this looks really expensive and really difficult, and I don't have the capacity to do this, and they kind of give up on the idea. But what I want to kind of emphasize is that there is a solution for everybody. So I have clients that work with white label companies that literally can order like 10 units at a time, which is super, super low, but that's so affordable. And there are places that can do that. So don't give up looking. Like if you want to launch a product and you want to do it on like a low quantity basis, keep looking. You can even, there's like particular coaches that can help you with this, sourcing like consultants that can help you do this. So reach out to them for their help and ask them for recommendations. Yeah, it is possible to do it on a small scale. So just don't give up on your idea and be put off by like all these scary things you might see on Google. Like just keep looking and you will find something that works for you.
Yeah, and I found some really awesome companies. Some of them are based here in the States or LA or New York and super affordable. You can order a test, like to try it out. So
Mhm.
I know it is possible. So now that
Mhm.
we figured that part out, I want to talk about the marketing strategy and branding because I'm going branding beyond the colors and the fonts and all that stuff, okay? How it looks. We're going really
Mhm.
like the feel of it, the behind the stories of how this product got created, right? And how would we market this in an efficient way? Because this is, I feel like just in my own experience from seeing so many people around me and peers trying to launch their own products, this is where a lot of like the make it or fail comes to.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. There is just so much that I could say about this. I'm trying to like gather my thoughts into some sort of concise thing that's actually helpful. So I guess the first thing that I would say is I would recommend, so say you have your product in your hand, you're ready to start selling it, what are you going to do, right? So assuming that most people who are listening to this that want to launch a product already have a fully fledged business on the go that takes up a lot of their time, they're having to market that, they're having to do all the things, then you might have a family on the side. So what I would say, yeah, we know what that's like. So I
Like,
would say the first thing to do is to sit down, have like a CEO day for your product, right? Allocate a day to sit down and come up with a marketing and brand strategy plan. Because what you don't want to do is have your product sat on the on your shelf for years and you're not actually investing any time in shifting that stock. So, and it's not going to shift itself. So, you need to come up with some sort of action plan that you can start implementing. So, set aside a CEO day. And what I would say to do on this day is to list out how you can get those eyes on your product. So, some great ways to get visibility for your product is to do influencer marketing. So, and this is a whole topic that I could go into, but with influencer marketing, don't be afraid to ask for people to promote your product, but also be respectful. Like some people will be happy to take your product and promote it for free, but also just obviously be respectful of people's time. It's about building those relationships. So for me, and I don't know about you, Celeste, but I have people message me quite often saying, do you want to promote this product? I will send you this for free. But time is really valuable. And so you have to be respectful of people's time. Okay. So you might have to be prepared to pay people to promote your product. Or if you don't want to do that straight away, make sure you're building those relationships with the relevant people so that further down the line, maybe like 6 months to a year down the line, they're already engaged in you and they're willing to promote your product genuinely. And those genuine connections that you can build for your product are going to be so valuable because what we want, like I said before, is to create raving fans of our business that
yes.
are willing to promote it, review it, share it, tell their friends about it. And that comes from investing time in building those relationships. So think about influencer marketing, but don't just think about it in that we're going to give this to you for free so you can share a post about it. Think deeply about it. The other benefit of doing influencer marketing and actually paying people to do it and doing it a bit more officially is that you can kind of control the reward that you get from that experience. So if you're giving somebody a product for free, it is costing you time to ship that product and it's costing you the actual product cost as well. So you want to make sure you're getting something back. So if you actually pay someone to promote your product and set up some sort of contractual agreement, you can have control about what sort of content they might be taking, how much content they're taking, how long it should remain on their feed for, how often they should post about it on their stories. All those things you can come to an agreement with. So you might actually realize that it's more valuable to pay someone to promote your product than it is to ship out loads of free products that
Yeah.
no one's even kind of responding to. So influence marketing is great, but make sure you have a proper strategy when it comes to that. If you are busy business owners, you want to create an efficient marketing and brand strategy. So like I said, assuming you have all your visuals in place, you know who your target audience is and all of that good brand stuff, thinking about actually getting eyes on your business, you want to be able to show up on social media as much as possible in an effective and consistent way. So in order to do that, alongside running your other business, I would recommend having so I have this strategy that I call the 365 content strategy. And it's basically in a day, you can create and plan out a whole year's worth of content in just one day. So I would recommend doing this. I have Celeste, I'll send you like some resources for everyone that's listening of some sorts. They can kind of get an idea of what the strategy is, but it works so well. So you just need a day. And basically what it is you're going to create 30 pieces or 30 content ideas, and you're going to repeat them throughout the year. So you have 30 content ideas for January, you're going to repeat that in February, March, and April, and just tweak that as you go on. So instead of having to show up on social media every day and think of an idea on the spot, which is hard enough to do for one business, let alone two businesses, you already have a whole year's worth of content so that you can show up every day without having to think about things to create, right?
So because you said two businesses, so does that mean that somebody has to have two separate accounts, or you can just have it both because they're similar under one account?
Yeah, so yeah, you can by all means have your product business on your like already beauty business account and kind of promote it with the same thing. But I guess my point was that you need to have different content strategies for both of them because they're not necessarily going to be the same.
Mhm.
Say, for example, if you are say you're a hairstylist and you're launching a hairbrush, for example, your content for clients who want to book you for hair is going to be different to how you're going to need to sell your hairbrush product. Does that make sense? And kind of like, say if you're a nail technician and you want to launch a range of nail prep tools, for example, that's content to sell those nail prep tools is going to look different to people that are hiring you for manicures because it might be a different audience. Like maybe your nail prep tools are for professionals in the beauty industry, whereas obviously your nail technician services are for consumers, right, who want their nails done. So it's going to be different. You can have some crossover. Obviously, say, for example, if you're doing a hair tutorial for people to try at home, obviously you can feature your hairbrush in that tutorial. That's great. But it is worthwhile thinking of them as two different business and brand concepts because also the marketing and the retail and sales channels will also be different as well. Because say, for example, you in your salon, people are booking in through your online booking system and word of mouth in terms of that. And they also are repeat clients. So you're not always having to get those new clients in. And that's your kind of sales channel for your hair salon business. So how are you going to start getting those clients in and sales in for your product now? That's a different sales channel. Like you might want to get into a store, a physical store. You might want to be sold by other salons. You might want to go to expos and sell your product there. So it's kind of a different approach. So in that sense, they're different businesses, not to say they can't have some sort of crossover. And that's
Yeah.
why you need to think about a separate strategy for your product business too.
Yeah, and just into what Rebecca is saying, I'm just saying it from my own experience because I've been doing this since 2017. Okay, nobody told me this, but I know this. It's really a lot more work when you fuse two businesses to one. So I have
Mm.
my, I do like, the consumer and the business owner. And I do that within my own
Mhm.
business. And it's taken a lot of work to be at that level. So it's been years in the making. So if you want to fast track it, that's why a lot of people just have one business for one person. And that's the easiest way to do it. There is a strategy behind doing it under one account, but it does take longer.
Yeah.
And also to what you were saying about influencers or like, hiring somebody to do content for you, because I do that for bigger brands all the time, is
Mhm.
there is a contract. I know what they want. I know what's required of me to get the certain amount that we agree on. So also be very
Yeah.
mindful and respectful of that. Like I know sometimes people get mad at me because I won't do stuff for free, or come on, just let me talk to you, or let me take you out to coffee or to eat, or like get
Yeah.
on the phone with me, and I'm like, I love you and I have just lots of free resources on my podcast, but I can't go charge a huge company X amount of dollars and then give it all everybody else away for free. Like I'm devaluing myself as well.
Mm-hmm. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, those relationships are what's most valuable in business, I feel like. And
Yeah.
even if you don't see the rewards straight away and it feels like a long game, in a few months' time or a year's time, you're going to still see those rewards coming from building those relationships and being respectful.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to touch on that you just said about having the two businesses or merging them into one. Another thing to consider is long-term goals of your business. So, for example, and I always say this to my clients, I say this to my clients who are hesitant to get a website and they want to have everything on Instagram or on social media. When you're thinking about the long game, imagine your brand or your product being featured in a magazine. Like a lot of my clients are in Vogue and Grazia and Harper's Bazaar. Imagine having your product featured in a magazine. Where are you going to send those people to if you just have your beauty business personal Instagram account and that's all you have to sell your product? You need to kind of create a standalone brand for your product, even if it's small for now, but definitely have the intention to have a standalone brand, because in the future, if you want to be in magazines or collaborate with big brands, they need to have some like an online presence separate to you. So just think about the long game of where you want your business to be.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. Like even for me, like I've been in over 12 magazines now, and that's been all done organically. But I do have a separate like my website, and I always get complimented on that website. They're like, "Oh my gosh, Celeste, I love it," you know. But it is a
Yeah.
separate essence of who I am, very specific, who I'm targeting, right? And it's separate, and it brings everything cohesive at the same time. Like everything is intertwined. So I just really think it really
Yeah.
helps to build your presence and your business online. And you don't have to start
Mhm.
big. I literally started with like the simplest one page website. So we evolve over
Yeah.
time. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing I would say as well is when you already have a business established that's relevant to your product. So say you are a salon owner and you want to launch a hair care range, for example, you're kind of like fortunate that you already have a semi decent income coming in order to reinvest into your business. I would say like don't feel pressure to go big as soon as you start. Like, don't feel like you have to invest thousands and thousands of dollars, like in whatever you're doing. Just start small and be realistic. And then as your revenue grows, reinvest that into your business. Like for me, as a brand specialist, I know how much my clients can spend on branding and packaging. And that's great when you have the investment there. But there are ways to kind of rein that cost back, do it a bit cheaper, just to test a product idea, and also for you just to start getting those sales, and you can reinvest that into the business. So just don't feel like you need to spend thousands of dollars to get started. Just start small and then reinvest as you grow. Like whether it's just where you mentioned that website, just DIY it for now. Or like for me, I have my clients, and also sometimes my clients don't have a big budget, they book it with me for a consultation. So now there's amazing tools like Canva and Squarespace or Wix where you can create your own things. And like for me, my clients might do that and then they book in for me like for an hour or a day, and we go through things together to give it that more professional touch. So there are ways of doing things on a budget if you don't want to kind of invest thousands straight away.
Yeah, and I love that. So what we learned today is that you can start small, grab like, buy a little tester and test it out with your clients, see how they like the product. You don't have to invest thousands of dollars into this. Make sure that you have a strong brand, you know who you're talking to, who you're targeting. And we all start small and we reinvest that money back into our business. So we're down to our last 4 minutes. This went by so fast. I'm so sad.
I know.
It was amazing. So I want to just end this with being a minority women in business. What are some of the obstacles that you see within that? Because the reality is it is different and it is a little bit harder. And I will admit to that, being bilingual and having like my bilingual audience, it has been a lot of work to where we're at today. So I would just love your
Yeah.
perspective to that.
Yeah. So I guess it's interesting because obviously you're in the States, I'm in the UK, and I wonder if there is a cultural difference into like our experiences. But I would say in general that I'm sure there have been barriers, because I'm sure there's probably been times when I've gone for an opportunity or I could have got a potential client and maybe they have overlooked me because I don't look like them, or they make assumptions and have prejudice against because of how I look. I'm sure that's happened. But for me, I would also say on the flip side and on a positive note is that I feel like there's also a sense of like community, and it's like a niche club that you have. Like, I don't know for you, Seth, but for me, I end up actually having a lot of brown clients, like a lot of ethnic minority clients, which I love. And I feel like we naturally gravitate towards each other because of that connection, and you feel kind of safe in a sense of respect where you know that you're going to be not judged, not discriminated when you work with somebody that you feel like might be from a similar background as you. For me, I feel like that's been my experience, which has been really interesting. But I'm sure there have been times when I have been passed up for opportunities because of how I look. So I'm yeah, I mean, what has it been like for you? Like, have you experienced any direct like,
For me, yeah, it's been hard. Like I remember when I was an assistant, people were like, "Oh, she's just the assistant. Treat me like shit." Like it happens.
yeah,
The reality of it.
yeah,
But also, it has been so beautiful because I embrace who I am. Although I'm a hairstylist, I don't
yeah.
always look like this. Today I did my hair, my makeup. Most of the time, I look like a little.
Especially for me.
That's for you. Most of the time, I look like a gremlin, and I just like I'm bilingual. I throw in my Spanish and English, and people have just learned to
Yeah,
adopt. And I've learned that I have attracted this cultural backgrounds of all kinds of different backgrounds and differences. Like we're able
yeah.
to work together, and I think it's so beautiful to just like embrace who you are and that it's okay to be different. Not everybody's going to understand it, but I just love how right now the industry is switching to really truly be inclusive of our differences because we all are different, and that's the reality of things.
Mm.
And there's beauty
And
within.
that is one of the blessings for sure of having your own business and being a business owner is you attract people that actually connect with you and actually love you for who you are and appreciate these things. And vice versa, you have clients who you love for their own differences, whatever they might be as well. And I think that's amazing when you create your own career. Obviously, if you're in the workspace, you're much more vulnerable and susceptible to having those experiences like you've had in the past. I've had them in the past, definitely outside of business for sure. But yeah, that's definitely one of the blessings of having your own business. You really attract your tribe that love you and you kind of love them as well.
I love that. Rebecca, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Where can people connect with you? Let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm on Instagram at sugarbranded. My website is www.sugarbranded.com. Yeah, just DM me. They're always open. I love to chat on there.
Okay, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciate you.